Let's get some analysis on that now from Greg Swenson, a founding partner of Brigg Macadam, an emerging market investment banking firm, and he joins me live now from Chicago. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. First off, let me get your thoughts on Trump's retaliatory tariffs of 15% now. Could this be another example of him exceeding his authority, as has already been ruled by the Supreme Court for the initial imposed tariffs?
Yeah, not in this case, because there's already statutes in place. There's all kinds of codes, 122, 232, 301. But basically, there was a National Security Trade Act of 1974 that gives him that authority. And so there's also Section 301, which is about unfair trade practices, which there are plenty of, especially with China. And so that's the investigative tool. And so there are so many levers that the president can use, so many tools in his kit that besides the Emergency Powers Act, which he had used prior to yesterday. So I think this is a speed bump, but surely not the end. He's just he's not even getting started yet.
One that's going to affect all imports from all countries. What happens to the trade agreements that Trump had already had in place?
Yeah, Esna, great question. And that's a bit of a mystery right now. The assumption, and from some of the comments yesterday, is that the trade agreements are still in place. And so that, I think that the Supreme Court decision affects more of like this blanket tariffs that might have been across the board based on the Emergency Power Act. And so I think in this case, the trade agreements will stick. These tariffs that the president announced yesterday are more across the board for perhaps countries that don't have specific trade agreements yet. So, this is a moving part right now, and I think we'll learn a lot more in the next few days. But I think that clearly that this is not a retreat or a stalemate. This is probably not even a pause. It's an acceleration, just using different levers that are available to the president.
I mean, Donald Trump had said that he had imposed one of the reasons for imposing these tariffs initially was to boost manufacturing within the United States. How can we expect this now to impact manufacturing in the United States? And how quickly do you think that this is going to affect ordinary consumers?
Yeah, I think in terms of business and foreign direct investment, that has already started. So I don't think it will affect it at all. In fact, if anything, the idea of even higher tariffs will probably encourage that. But I do think that that there's no turning back on the foreign direct investment. That we're seeing massive investment in factories, and that's not only because of tariffs, but because of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, where companies can expense factories and plant and equipment in year one rather than amortizing over time. So that's a big part of it. But in terms of the consumers, there's little evidence, perhaps no evidence, that these prices or these tariffs are being paid by consumers. There was one report from the New York Fed, very political, very biased. Other than that, Harvard Business School, MIT, all coming out saying there is no inflationary pressure, perhaps some one-time price adjustments in certain sectors, but surely inflation is down. I mean, we went from the high single digits of the Biden years and now well under 3% on all the inflation metrics. So inflation is well under control. I think that's just hype from the progressive left when there's really no indication that these tariffs have been paid by consumers.
Okay, Greg Swenson, thank you so much for being with us here on TRT World and sharing that analysis with us.